So this is an equation with brackets. And that is equal to, which means it is the same as the equation that we're going to write out when the brackets have been removed. And we call this in algebra expanding the equation or expanding the brackets. So when the brackets have been expanded, basically what we're doing is we're multiplying what's on the outside of the brackets by each part that's inside the brackets. So the first thing we'll do is 2 multiplied by b. So I like to draw my arrows over the top. The first thing we'll do is 2 times b. Now remember that we don't use normally the times sign or the multiplication sign in algebra because that can be mistaken for the letter x, which is often used in algebra as well. So when we write this out, we write 2b without the times sign in the middle. That number and the letter stuck together means 2 lots of b, or 2 times b, 2 multiplied by b. And then the next thing that we're going to do, we've done 2 times b, we're going to do 2 multiplied by a positive 3 or a plus 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So because we haven't gone down into negative numbers, it stays as a positive 6. Or plus 6. So then actually when our brackets have been expanded out, our equation 2 with brackets b plus 3 close brackets is the same as or equal to 2b plus 6. So we're going to do it on the same equation so that you can see what the layout of the grid method would be. So I've got my 2 brackets b plus 3 close brackets equal to, and that's awaiting my answer here. So how we would lay that out into an equation where we are using the grid method is at the start we would have our multiplication in the top column. This shows us that we are multiplying out the brackets. Underneath that I'm going to put my number that is outside of my brackets. So that would be 2. And then alongside it, I'm going to put what's inside of my bracket. So my second column would be b, and my next column would be plus 3. And then I'll show you how we would split these up. Now that's given me space for 2 parts to my answer. So what we'll be doing is 2 times by b. And that's going to be in here. If we bring these together, look, we do 2 times b, and that gives me the answer of 2b. And then in here, we're going to do 2 times by a positive 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, and we know that it's a positive 6 because we haven't crossed the 0 boundary to go to negative numbers. So then it's the 2 empty boxes that we filled in that would create our answer. 2b plus 6, 2b plus 6, and you can see that both of those methods, using the arrows or using the grid system, would get us both to the same answer. When using expanding brackets out of an equation where you see that there is a negative or a takeaway symbol or a minus symbol in the original equation, I'm just going to show you how we would do this. It's really straightforward, the same using the arrow methods or using the grid methods. I'll show you both nice and quickly. So we would firstly do, if we're using the arrow method, 3 lots of y, 3 times y, which would give us 3y. And the second thing we would do is 3 times, now you can think of this in either way, either 3 times 4, which obviously is 12, and then just essentially for most of these, and most of the ones that you will be experiencing, most of the equations, whatever the operation is in the original equation will be the same operation in your answer. So we could just do 3 times 4 is 12, and we know that because there was a takeaway in the original, or a subtraction in the original equation, then we would subtract from the answer equation. Now what we're actually doing here is 3 times minus 4, and 3 times negative 4 would take us down into negative numbers, which is why our answer would be negative 12 or minus 12. And so that would be your answer there. Let me just show you that again using the grid method. So we're still going to have times on the top, 3 goes on the bottom, y minus 4. if I draw my grid around all of them, look, we've got 2 blank spaces, which means there are 2 parts to my answer. So I'm going to do 3 times y gives me 3y, and then 3 times 4, or 3 times negative 4. 3 times 4 gives me 12, and I know my answer's got to have the subtraction symbol before it, or a minus symbol before it. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. My answer then, I combine these two, is 3y take away 12. It could be that you want to use both of these methods to check your answers, and just to ensure that you have got the right answer, that you're happy with them. For those of you who are looking for additional challenge in this, or want to tackle those slightly tougher questions that involve squared numbers, I'm going to give you an example of an equation that would require squared numbers to be used in the answer. So let's go for just some straightforward numbers here so you can see it happening. So here we've got 2f on the outside. This time we've got a letter on the outside, and then our brackets f plus 3, close brackets. Now, in order to solve this, we're going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to show you the method using arrows and then the grid method, so that you can see how we could lay it out. The first thing we would do is 2f multiplied by f. Now, the 2 multiplied by the f would give us 2f, and the f multiplied by the f. Remember, when a number multiplies by itself, or a letter multiplies by itself, it becomes a squared number, and that's what we would say. So actually the answer in this one would be 2f squared, 2f squared, and that's represented by a little 2 up at the top. Then, there we go, make sure the camera is focused. The next one we do is 2f times 3, and that's a positive 3, so it's just we make sure it's a positive or a plus in our answer, times 3. Now what we would do here is the number would multiply by the number, which gives us 2 times 3 is 6, and then the letter stays the same, so our answer would be 6f in this instance. And if I show you that in grid method, just so that you can see in another method how that would get us to the same answer. Close my brackets. The times goes at the top. What's outside the brackets goes underneath, 2f. Then the inside of the brackets go next to my multiplication symbol. So I've got f, and then I've got plus 3. And then I'm going to draw my grid around it. Again, you'll see for this one, we've got 2 parts to our answer. So the first thing we're going to do is 2f times f. Now the 2 hasn't got another number to multiply by, so that stays the same. And then the f multiplied by the f gives us f squared. Then we've got 2f times by a positive 3. So the number multiplies by the number. 2 times 3 is 6. And the f hasn't got anything else to be multiplied by there, so that just stays on it. Remember that it's a positive number in the end, it's a positive 6. So we make sure the plus sign is in there. And then our answer is just bringing these together. 2f squared plus 6f. And you'll notice that that was the same with either method that we used. So I've effectively checked my answers there and got them correct. All the best. Bye.